This is an introduction to CSS, or cascading style sheets. Now there are two basic ways to set up formatting for text on your page. You can either use the HTML tags, such as we have right here. We have a strong tag, which is basically bold. We have a font tag here, which includes a few things. This includes the color, and the color is listed as an hexadecimal number. We'll be talking about this on a later discussion, how you decipher this. Has the size of the text, has the face of the text, Times New Roman or Times or serif. This is the older way of doing coding, or doing styling rather, for a section of text. Notice we also have closing tags. Here's our closing font tag / font. Here's our closing strong tag / strong. You see how much space this takes up. The newer way of doing formatting for text is to use a cascading style sheet, and that comes in two parts. First, there is a style sheet reference, or a style reference, that can either be placed into the head section of your document, and here's the head section right here. We'll be discussing head sections in a little later discussion, what this actually means. But there's a reference right here to an external style sheet. Notice this is sample.css. This is an external style sheet, or I could have the styles just listed up here as well. So one of two ways of having your style sheet. This is actually the best way, is to link to an external style sheet, and then you simply reference down below the style you want to use. You reference it as a class. In this case, this one is page, body, bold, red, small. Let's take a look at the page. Go over here to our design view. You can see here, this is text that was styled using your standard HTML font tags. And we'll be discussing how to do that in a little later discussion. These two sections are styled using CSS. Here we go, CSS and CSS. Notice that these have different stylings. Let's go back and take a look at our code again. There we go. Now, these both say the same thing, but they're actually styled a little bit differently. We'll see why that's the case in just a moment. But let's first take a look at this right here, sample.css. Let's go up here to File, come over to Open, and I have that file sitting here in the Materials folder. Here's our Materials folder, sample.css. This is a cascading style sheet document. Let's go ahead and open this one. Now what this is a collection of styles that have been pre-established, pre-set up. And you can see here the different styles have a style name. There's our style name, page large red. This has a font family. Here's our Times New Roman, Times, and serif. Same basic thing that we had in our font section. Here's the font size. Again, same thing we had in our font section. And here's the color. In this case, this is color red. There are a few names you can use in color, or you can use the hexadecimal equivalents. And we have a whole discussion about how to use names and, again, what the numbers mean. But here's a hexadecimal color under color. So you can see it's simply a listing of the standard formatting for your particular text. You can do a lot more with CSS. You can format not only just the text, but you can format table position, you can format background colors, you can format a lot of stuff. It's very, very powerful. But we'll be discussing and taking a look at just the font part of this right now. Let's take a look at one of these, page head bold black. I'm just going to copy this name here, right click copy. Let's go back to our HTML. Let's come down here to our second one here. I'm going to right click and paste that name in. So there's now a different class name for this section. Let's go back here and take a look. Let's first save this. File saved. There we go. Let's go back to our design view, and you'll see now that the text has changed. And let's see what this is. We now have larger text, it's bold text, and the background is in a bright red. Let's see what happened. Let's go back here to sample CSS. Here we go, page head bold black. Font family is Arial, Helvetica or sans serif. It's a sans serif typeface. Font size 24. It's much larger. Font weight is bolder, so it's a bold face. Color is all zeros in hexadecimal is black. Font style is italic. There's also a background color. Here we go, background color. F and then 0000, this is red. And there's also a border here, and the border is also in red. Notice we have a red border here. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this to all D's. You have to make sure you have 6 things in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If they're all the same, and hexadecimal starts from 0 and goes up to F, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, and there's a whole discussion again on hexadecimal, so you don't need to memorize that right now. But if they're all the same, you're going to get a gray color. Let's go ahead and save this. File, save. Go back to our code. A little hard to see here, but there actually is there should be a gray outline showing here. Let's go back to our code view, and I'm going to change this and then paste that back in again. Let's do a copy, paste. I'll save this. File, save. This kind of clears that. Let's go back here. Let's save this again. Copy. Let's go back to our code again. Put in this new one, which has now been changed, and let's just paste that in. So I'm just copying and pasting the name of the class, and save this again. Back to design view. Here we're not seeing that border, so that border isn't showing here in Dreamweaver. Unfortunately, Dreamweaver in its sample in the design view doesn't show every single HTML style. So you may, on some of these more advanced styles like borders on tables, you may have to upload your file and take a look at it with a browser to actually see some of your styles. You'll be able to see all of your text styles though. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the sample CSS again. So you can see here all we have is sections. There's a name for a style. This begins with a period. Name for a style, and then standard characteristics. Page body, page subhead, page heading, and then the characteristics for those fonts are placed in. Let's take a look at our differences here. Notice font family on page body, subhead, and heading, all the same on the font family. Times New Roman, times serifs, these are all matching. In this case, page heading, the preferred style is Georgia, which has been placed here in front, and also page subhead, the preferred style is Georgia. It's a little bolder looking than Times New Roman. Then we have our font size, 14 pixels, 14 px. That's our page body. Subhead is 18, it's a little larger than the 14. Page heading is 36, it's twice as big as the subhead. Notice that the regular text is in bold, or actually rather in black. Subhead has a color change here, 9:9. Page heading has a color change, 6:6 at the end here. These are both blues, and these are both bolds. So we've just simply styled these things. Now the nice thing about this is that we can go over here to our code. Let's go to the code view. If I wanted to make a change to this, let's say I had several different things that were listed here with the class, page head, bold, black. All I have to do is change that style sheet, cascading style sheet. Let's go back to our sample style sheet. Here's our page head, bold, black. I'm going to change my background color to a light gray. Let's just do all E's. All E's is a light gray. Let's do a file, save. Let's go back here to our style and take a look at this. Notice we've now changed the background to a light gray just by changing our style sheet. So if you had, let's say, 100 pages on your website, 100 different pages with different sections using the same style, and all of your sections were referring or linking to the same style sheet. If you went back and you changed just the style in the style sheet, then all those 100 pages would be changed automatically. So you can see the benefits here of using CSS. It really can simplify your coding, especially when you're using external CSS, which I always recommend. Also, notice how small our actual coding is. All I have to do is just say this. I write the attributes once, and then all I have to do is refer to those attributes right here. If I was doing it the old way, using straight HTML, I would have to be doing this every single time I wanted to have that text shown or displayed. So those are some of the advantages here of CSS and using these styles. And we have several discussions later on going more into depth on how to actually use CSS. But it's preferred now, if at all possible, to use CSS whenever you are doing your styling for a page. And you can see here very quickly what some of those benefits are.